On the men's side, Georgia, heavy favorites this year, obviously on the backs of Kyle Garland, their multi-athlete, and Matthew Bowling and Elijah Godwin. They're basically going to be the workhorses for getting the most points. At 48 points. Second, I have Stanford, which is going to be on the backs of their terrific, Kai Robinson, Charles Hicks, Cole Sprout. And then third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are basically all virtually tied. Arkansas, Alabama, Northern Arizona, and Texas Tech, all there in the mix. Arkansas, Alabama, Texas Tech, they're more of a traditional track program. They have a little bit of field, sprints, jumps. Northern Arizona, I have scoring 32 points with just two guys. And basically, I have them going first and third in the 3K and 5K. I would say making that prediction 3 weeks ago would have been a little bit, are you sure about that? But then after Drew Bosley runs 7:36, you have to think that's a top 3 type runner. And they have Nico Young, who was literally second at cross country. And you look at Charles Hicks, who just is coming off a 7:53 3K when his teammates are all running in the 7:40s. You got to think, does NAU technically have two of the best distance guys? And you could think, could they put two in the top 3 in both the 3 and 5? And they do that, they can score 32 points, which would be even more funny if they podium with just 2 guys as opposed to like podiuming with 4 guys that they did a year ago. So that's the men's. It's really Georgia versus the field and a couple interesting distance schools in Stanford and NAU. Women.
Hold on, before you go to the women. Before you go to the women, though, on the men, I want to know what's the swing event? What's the important event here? I know you have Georgia plus 13 right now, but historically, that's not that big of a gap this early in the season. We've seen margins much bigger than that get erased. Some people emerge, some people get injured. Right now, what do you think is going to be the event to watch in terms of the team race, given the players that are involved?
Men's 400. 1,000%. Men's 400. I have Florida men, which, I'm probably going to get a tweet from their SID or their team manager, because I have the Florida men ranked 10th, and they like to remind me that they never finish worse than second basically every year. But Florida men have 4 extremely talented quarter milers, and I don't really have them scoring as much as they probably could. Now, I have a feeling Florida's going to move up in the rankings after the mid-February weekend when they all start running like their A-type races. Ja'Cory Patterson hasn't really put up a big mark yet. But the men's 400, because you have the Florida 400 guys, you have Godwin of Georgia. Alabama has a good 400. Like Arkansas has a great 400-meter runner, and Christopher Bailey. There's just a lot. And Christopher Bailey, he could win it or get 7th, and that's a huge swing. Ja'Cory Patterson could win it or get 7th. That's a big swing. So Elijah Godwin could win it or get 7th. It's basically you either win it or you get 7th race. So we're going to have a lot of winners and 7th place finishers in the men's 400. And it's going to affect.
Can I tell you my favorite event on the men's side right now?
What's that?
It's like looking at the rank. When I went through all the rankings, I said, all right, out of these, which event right now am I most excited about? I think it's the men's 60. Just a lot of star power there, right? A lot of people with interesting storylines. A lot of people that you could see. Like, I would not be surprised if half or even all the guys listed in that top 8 won the thing, right? It would not be that surprising if, for example, Ashe, who you have ranked 7th from Auburn, formerly of Tennessee, if he ended up being the NCAA champion, not that surprised at all. But Makai Williams, potential for the collegiate record. Bowling, going to be running a bunch of events, important for the team race. Devontae Burnett, obviously, he's a star. Ismail Coney, like the names go on and on there. I just feel like that's a loaded event this year.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about the sprints in general. Even in the 200, like the margin of different, like it's just any person can win it. There's not, or any person can finish top 3. I think is like the real situation. You're going to have your favorites, but you come into the season ranked 7th to 12th, you could easily finish third. And that's what sprints do. You look at the men's 200, I have bowling as ranked number 1, the LSU athlete, Dorian Comel, second, Makai Williams, third. Like, that would be maybe Javante Harding, the Tennessee kid who transferred from North Carolina AT&T. He was running incredible outdoor 200s. He could come up there and maybe surprise and win it. It's really hard to predict the men's sprint events because the talent. I mean, Sean Masanganwe, the Houston kid, like, remember him a few years ago? He was lighting up the track. I don't even have him ranked in the top 8 in the 60. I have him 7th in the 200. So a lot of movement can happen. There's a little more known in the women, I feel.
But if you go to the top of the men's 60, Williams versus Bowling and Burnett. Let's just even take Williams versus Burnett. Remember indoor last year? Williams false starts. Burnett gets the win. So Williams is going to try to get another NCAA title. Burnett's going to try to repeat. And then outdoors, I thought Burnett was on his way to potentially win the whole thing, or at least get top 2. He gets an unfortunate injury late in the season. There's just a lot of established names there. The last few years in sprinting, on the men's side, especially NCAAs, it's like been, okay, who's going to establish himself as a name? Who's going to establish themselves? This, all the characters coming into the season. So I'm really into the men's 60, and a lot of people with international experience as well.